Other months passed and I almost forgot to do this video, but this is November. The garden's, I don't know, you tell me, does it look like it's winding down? But I'll tell you this. Sorry, I just ate a grape and it was stuck in my throat. It's not winding down, but it's getting pretty slow, but we still have things to do in our garden this month. So for the month of November, these are the things that I'm gonna be doing in my garden. Feel free to follow along. If you live close to me, I'm in coastal North Carolina, then you probably do just about the same thing. And then you just adjust north or south of me based on your temperatures. But right now it's like November 3rd and I think it's about 82 degrees still. It seems to always be 82 degrees. Super weird. Our garden's full. We've got a lot of things to take care of. And none of it is really pressing, but it still needs to be done. And because our frost date is now delayed, it seems like indefinitely, we have a lot of time to correct issues that we could have had. Welcome back to Sandy Bottom Homestead, everybody. I'm Ben, coastal North Carolina. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Here we are, it's November. There's a lot of things going on. So basically the first thing I'm gonna do this week is I am going to give another dose of fertilizer to this garden. Typically, I would be done, but our frost date is super delayed and it's like 2 weeks out still. So we can get more growth. And we really wanna do that because we got a couple things we wanna beef up and correct. And the fertilizer will absolutely help with that. Let me show you. Say this, as much as I've enjoyed this pumpkin, I am ready for it to go away because I can't really get to the bed here. I've actually just been walking all over this plant. I don't even care anymore. But the Brussels sprouts, they're actually coming along pretty well. We do need just a little bit more growth before that frost hits because the higher, the taller, the thicker they are, the more Brussels sprouts we get. And we are seeing some of what we want, but we just wanted a little bit more. So we're gonna give that another shot of fertilizer. And then the other thing too is we have plants like this here. So you can see our pests hit them pretty hard. And we have sprayed them or treated them, whatever you wanna say. But we need to feed again. I may end up losing this plant. I mean, if it was spring, I wouldn't be worried about it, but because of the time of year and what we're going into, hopefully, this plant may struggle, but you never know. So we're gonna go ahead and you can see little bits of damage on all the plants. It's been a real tricky year. I mean, typically by this time, it's, you know, we still may not have had a frost, but it would be cool enough to where the pests would kind of go away. But I've been encountering all kinds of pests in my gardens that I usually don't see this time of year. Usually it's really narrowed down to snails and cabbage moth. That's really it. Everything else has kind of gone away, but we're seeing other things like the grasshopper. So this is damage from the grasshopper and it's like a biblical plague in my garden. See these big bites taken out of this broccoli right here? That's what I'm talking about. And they're really hard to get on top of, but we're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna give it a shot of food and then just kind of progress this along as much as possible. And I mean, 2 weeks, a liquid fertilizer, nitrogen-based fertilizer will really push the growth and just magnify all of this. Well, clearly I just said I was gonna give it a liquid fertilizer and that is absolutely gonna happen. And we may, depending on how long this temperature thing goes, we may give it another dose of granular fertilizer. I would expect that that would be the last one. And the only reason why is because it's been so warm, the fertilizer is breaking down and it's being used. Typically when it's cooler, it takes a lot longer, but this is almost like spring weather we're having, which for our area is very uncommon this time of year. It usually goes from hot to cold, and it's gonna do that, but it's just taken forever, and I'm not complaining. It's great surfing weather, so I'm not arguing, but we will try to get it another dose of that granular fertilizer in there because that'll just help it limp along through the cold season. Bring you over here to the greenhouse. This is something that needs to happen too. So you can see our lettuces and everything are growing over here. Very slow, but it's really hot in here. But we also have our potatoes, which are doing very, very well. And we have this spot over here, right here, that I think we're gonna go ahead and drop some more potatoes in here sooner than later. And again, we have the time, it's getting warm, and with the structure over it, it'll be protected from the first frost when it comes. Because the whole idea behind growing these potatoes is that we would see how it would do in the frost, and I mean, we're just not, it's not doing what we want to do as far as our test goes to see if it'll work. So that'll help us ensure that too. I really want to take a chance with it and see. I don't have anything else on hand to plant right now. So we'll put something in there, and we'll put, not something, but the potatoes in there and get those growing. So hopefully they'll get to, I would say, if I had to, what my goal would be, like for them to be about half this tall when the frost comes, because then we can continue to grow them and see how they would handle that cold. I've always wanted to know. Other thing is, because it is still so warm, but we also haven't had any rain in 6 weeks, we are amping our watering up a little bit more, and that's helping us because all of these vegetables out here are basically leaves and water. So we're amping our water up, we're getting it flowing to them. So we're gonna go, we've been going back and forth between every 3 days watering and then every other day. And I think we're gonna go back down to every other day just to keep pushing the water until it really starts to cool off a little bit more. You know, until we start getting days in the 60s and 50s, then we would start to raise that up. But for right now, we need to get more water into this garden because it's just so dry, it's ridiculous. Before I go into what seeds I'm gonna start, I'm going to also more than likely be moving those garden beds over here. So we'll put 2 4x8 beds here, and then we'll put 2 3x6 beds up here. So that should bring it, the garden should be out to about right here when we're done. And then we're not really gonna do anything else as far as putting in the irrigation or anything yet. We're just, because we're not even filling it with dirt and planting it, we're just literally getting them in so that could be phase 1 of our big project. So we should, hopefully I'll be doing that. It shouldn't take too long. We'll move those over, and then we'll just kind of work our way through the garden. And I need to eliminate a couple things because of this abnormal heat we're having. One bad thing that happened is we lost our entire lettuce crop. I've kind of been watching it. It's really slow to bolt, but it is absolutely bolting. So what I want to do is I want to just go ahead and just pull it all out, open up this bed a little bit more, and get some room in. The bok choy is doing well, so we're going to be continuing to harvest that. And then over here, where our radishes are coming up. Now, this has caused a major issue. The thing is ripening before it's getting cold. So the goal was to have stuff growing when it's cold so we can continue to harvest. So we're probably going to go through and harvest and then turn around and replant again so that we can keep up this process as long as possible. I mean, it's a gift and a curse, you know. We lost all of our lettuces, but we're going to be hopefully growing and harvesting more of other things. I would really, we have a chance of rain in a couple days. And so what I'd like to do is, I never really got out here and put the spinach back in this row. It's actually kind of looking to me like, why should you put anything in this row? I mean, I like having this little bit of space here to give things room to breathe, but as we harvest this down, then we'll create more space, and we're probably just gonna put another round of radishes in because they're really quick, and we can get another harvest off of them, almost guaranteed from this bed. So we're gonna push for that. And I mean, the temperatures are just right for germination, so we're gonna take advantage of that. My grandma always signed her letters, take advantage, and so that's what we're gonna do. And I keep threatening to start more lettuce. So as we go through this bed over here and we start harvesting more and more out of it and removing, as we remove the lettuce out of this bed, we're gonna have this row here and it's gonna be empty. But at the same time, we're already starting to harvest our bok choy. So I'm really stuck with a situation of, should I be starting more lettuce or more bok choy? And I don't really know. I think, and it's just because we are so close and so overdue for our first frost that I don't really want to take the effort, but I got some extra seeds. So we're probably going to start re-sowing a little bit too. Just, I mean, why not? You know, this is how you learn, is just give it a shot. I mean, what do I have to lose if I put 20 seeds in there? You know, I'm not going to lose anything really. But speaking of seeds, there are seeds that we're actually going to start this month. So back to the greenhouse. As it starts to cool down, this will become the star of the show. And once these potatoes, they're not close to being harvested, but they're probably about a month away to being done. So we want to get what's going to go in there next, and what we're going to put in there is going to be broccoli. So we're going to try and get probably 8 heads of broccoli in here, and we want to get them in as soon as possible. So we're going to start seeds for the greenhouse probably next week. We're going to start the seeds for the greenhouse. Give it time to, and we're also not going to start them inside. We're just going to start them outside. And then if it gets cold, we're going to put them in the greenhouse. That way they can get the sunlight. We don't have to harden them off or anything. And once it starts to get cold, like cold, then we'll put it in there and they'll stay warm. But again, we won't have to harden them off. And so if this is a month away, we're looking at early December, which means hopefully we can have Christmas potatoes. That would be awesome. But then we could take it and probably turn the soil. And by the second week of December, I'm hoping to get broccoli starts in the greenhouse. But also in this month, we're going to start seeds for out here. And you guessed it, broccoli and cabbage are going to be the two that we're going to start. I've been testing out how long I want things to grow and how early I can plant, because I do think that typically as a community, we plant too late. What we're going to do is we're going to start a handful of broccoli and cabbage. I want to do it in 2 phases, but the first phase is going to be in November, and I'm thinking that it's going to be the bigger phase. Just the way that it looks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking at the extended forecast consistently, and that should show us what the actual temperatures are going to be, and then we can kind of gauge from there. So what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to have an entire bed of 32 broccoli plants. Actually, let me take that back. Probably about 28 to 30 broccoli plants, and then another probably 16 or so cabbages, and get those in their separate beds started as soon as possible. And then if they start doing good as we build out our plan, and we can't, you know, a lot of times what we have problems, especially when we add the other beds up front, we may have issues filling the beds completely. So what we can do is then we can start another crop of those, but not in November. We're not starting those seeds. That would be in another month we'd start those and get those ready so that we could put those in the ground as well. And plus we would have backups if that happens. But you know, just because I gave you that number of 28 broccoli doesn't mean I'm starting 28 plants. I'll probably start about 35 or so, and then I have some left over for issues that arise. I also will have the greenhouse will be opening up so we can add something for there. Some of the cabbage could go in there if we need to, because what I know is we have lettuce and bok choy growing in there, but it may not last because they can be a little bit more sensitive. So we're ready to put something else in there that is not as sensitive. I want to be clear, as of right now, we will not be putting our garlic in the garden yet. It's just not cold enough yet. So we're going to give it a little bit of time. Maybe towards the end of the month we'll get it in. It's usually somewhere around Thanksgiving to the middle of December is when we actually come out and get it in. As soon as we start clearing stuff out of this bed, you can see, and I mean, the rutabagas, they look nice. I thought they wouldn't do anything, but here they are. So we're just kind of waiting for that as well. The other thing that I may try and cram into the greenhouse here, I've got some onion seeds, and I'm late starting them, but it's not really that big a deal. So we may start some onion seeds too and throw them in the greenhouse. This would be almost, because of the greenhouse being what it is, like the final call to start them. So if I have some, I'm not gonna buy any, but if I have some left over, then we're probably gonna start those as well. And that'll keep it going. And then that greenhouse will be built out as long as the lettuce and bok choy make it, then it'll be full. If that dies, then the onion seeds are just gap fillers at this point, and we'll see what happens after that. If your weather is anything like mine right now and you have damage and you want to correct it, the order in which I'm going to do it is I'm going to treat, then feed, then treat, and then feed. And the first feed is going to be the liquid, the second feed would be the granular, and then treat again, and that should wipe it out. We should, hopefully by that time, that'd be about 2 to 3 weeks from now, we should really be getting cooler at that point, and we can start to see the bugs die off a little bit more. But we want to get a hold of them now because it's a lot easier to do this stuff when it's warm outside. What's going on in my garden in the month of November? it slows down a lot because we're not really planting a lot. And right now, because of the way I have my garden for fall, we're not really harvesting a whole lot. We're just starting to. So things are slow-ish, but this is a good time to get on top of the game, take advantage of this weather that who knows if it's gonna change, and really see what we can do. I mean, it's time for some garden experiments. I don't know about you, but I'm personally excited about it. So what's going on in your garden? Let us know in the comments below.
Goodbye.